Battle of the Challenges, the episode 5 review of Battle of the Exes 2 with Vincent Cloud.
And DJ Maddie Nice.
This is the episode I've been meaning to talk about. This is the only episode since season 1 that I was like, holy shit, I cannot wait to talk about it.
Yep, this is a good one.
It's good. It's surprising. It's overall perhaps tragic. My overall feeling of when, spoilers, should we just say it out loud? People already seen this shit. When Bananas leaves, it didn't feel right. Well, to be honest with you, it's when Wes leaves. It's the same thing for me, but it's just like I'm used to Wes leaving, you know? Like Bananas leaving so early, you're like, oh man.
That's a sharp reminder that he's not the greatest at eliminations, but I mean, in reality, this isn't his fault.
No, and that's what I meant by tragic. I mean, honestly, I wanted him to lose, but the way he lost did not feel right. It was basically like banded together. It was the Johnny Riley and Avery versus Thomas and Haley scenario where the girls go first and then it's up to the guys. How horrible was that for Leroy? How horrible was that for Thomas? And now we have it again, but to a king, to a champ. And it just wasn't right. It felt like when CT lost in a puzzle at the very end of Free Agents. Yeah. It was just like, what a waste of a showdown. This was supposed to be cool. And
a lot of people, I'm sure, are happy because there's not a lot of love for Johnny Bananas out there.
It does seem like he's got a lot of supporters. I mean, it's hard not to love the champ. It's hard not to love the Patriots. That's the other thing that I wanted to say. Like, man.
All right, so should we start off with the bar?
Yeah. Start off with the bar. Where what's Banana doing? What is he doing with Zach?
Putting a plug in his ear.
Okay. He's not just complaining. He's actually planting seeds. You agree with that?
And he's always doing that. But that's another thing. He's always working the game. When everybody else is out getting drunk, having fun, he's sitting there working the game. He's talking to Zach, and he's like, "Hey man, you got the power for this next order. It means everything. You got to put Wes in first. He will screw us over."
I really wasn't sure how the episode was going to play out, but immediately it starts with Bananas talking about Wes and how eventually one of us has to make that move. And while he's saying it at that bar, he's making that move. He's telling Zach, hey, you should probably put Wes in the first or second. And to me, if you're Bananas, you don't go to Zach. You screwed Zach over in Rivals 2. And he's wanted to get back at you for that, I'm sure.
His motivation was that he wanted to play his own game. He didn't want to listen to Bananas.
But
in reality, the whole time, Bananas is right. In my opinion, he's right. Okay, it is self-serving to Bananas because he obviously wants to get Wes out of it. But Wes is heading his own alliance that has nothing to do with Zach or John A. or Johnny Riley or maybe Avery, but it doesn't serve Zach any purpose. He's in an alliance with his boys from Boston and one of the stronger players in the game, who, in my recollection, hasn't, besides maybe the island, hasn't really screwed anybody in his alliance over.
Oh, okay.
And Wes plays his own game. He will use anybody to any self-serving ends when he has to. It's part of what makes him great. And I'm coming around to liking Wes more because he really did make a great move this game and in this episode. But
the whole him screwing him over in Rivals 2, I'm just saying that didn't help.
I'm sure
that's got to be in his mind. I mean, that would be in my mind because I'm like, hey, man, I won Battle of the Seasons, and my second season, I get thrown in last because you wouldn't help. So, like, what the fuck, man?
Mm-hmm.
So I want revenge. But either way, Zach is, not only is he this huge physical threat, but he also wants to make a name for himself. You can tell by the way he's always yucking it up to the camera and how he makes the relationship every season and how he's so huge and how he does form in alliances. He doesn't want to be in the shadow of Bananas or Wes or anyone.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be in their shadow. He wants to play his own game.
Yeah, and now, especially now, CT is gone. The most physical threat to Zach In Rivals 2, you see Zach and you see CT, and everyone's thinking, holy shit, this has got, like, they're gonna fight. Everyone wants that elimination. We've been wanting it on Rivals 2 and Free Agents, and on Exes, but we haven't gotten it yet. But Zach shows up on Rivals 2, and his only comment about CT is that, like, this guy's an animal. He's a beast, because he's commentating on CT losing it and fighting not only Marlon, but Jordan underwater in the pool. Zach is completely taken aback by how insanely crazy and huge CT is, both as personality and physically. And now CT is gone. Zach is now literally the biggest guy there. Zach's only experienced that after CT was taken out on Free Agents. That was at the very end. So Zach is always in his place. Now, who does he got to answer to? He's starting to feel this fucking power. Do we bypass the whole Naya drinking sweat?
I don't want to talk about it.
That was disgusting.
Sick.
Naya, you are a dirty.
It goes back to the last
girl.
thing where what were you talking about? Where she said, she didn't want to do.
Yeah, when she rolled her eyes about having to rub against Leroy for the paint and stuff. It's like, no, you are cut off from trying to act coy about anything right now. Anything.
So, the challenge. Or
yeah.
The mission, I should say.
If you want to get to the mission, we can get to the mission. It's called Open Arms. You're over a body of water. The girl latches onto a punching bag, and she's going to be swinging down a zip line. At the same time, you're going to be swinging down that zip line, but on a surfboard. After you reach the end, you're going to fall into the water. You're going to have to swim past the buoy and up the other side, ring the bell.
The surfboard doesn't go as far as the BA, not even close.
That's why it pays
to want to jump over that.
They say it saves you the 10 seconds.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. The worst part, though, was that it was optional. You could jump on that beanbag.
Or you could just jump off.
Or you could just ride the surfing board to the end of your wire and jump off and swim.
But it was never clearly stated that they could do that. So, because that's going to come into play a little bit later on. Because the first team, who's the first team that does this?
Adam and Brittany. Adam doesn't jump.
No, Adam doesn't jump. That's right.
Yep. Right off the bat, they said it was optional. That's a mistake. If you want to improve upon that idea, 10 seconds off if you attempt it.
Mm-hmm.
20 seconds off if you actually grab it or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, just give them some incentive and give them a reason to make the jump. Because a lot of people, spoiler alert, aren't even going to try.
But it was never stated to the contestants.
No,
because
it wasn't.
That's the issue that comes up.
Mm-hmm.
And now, Zach puts Wes in what number?
Fourth.
Fourth.
When he wanted him in first or second.
So that maybe he wouldn't have the idea. Well, obviously it pays to go last because
you see
what the other teams have done and improve upon it.
Adam doesn't even try, and that's lackluster. That's horrible to see in the very first try, in the very first mission. Not even an attempt. But this is production's little hiccup. They should have made it. Mandatory. Don't make it. Make it mandatory. Mandatory
and have a penalty if they don't.
Exactly, man. So right off the bat, and then next is Jay and Jenna. That's the second team to go. And Jay, though, he's up for it. He wants to do it. But oh shit! And then here's the other thing that's wrong with this whole scenario, this whole concoction of a mission. The weight really factors into this. So you have Jay and Jenna. Jay's on that surfboard. Jenna, who's the bigger girl, is on the bag. She's heavier than Jay. She starts going way faster than Jay. Jay can't even make it. He ends up jumping, like trying to catch up to the bag. He misses, and he lands pretty hard in the water. They swim all the way around. Jay is out of breath. He's spent on the ground. He's like lying on the ground, kind of gasping. And Jenna, which is the perfect characterization of her and Jay, or just her, is like she's like doesn't care, And to me, I don't even care about Jenna anymore. She's like,
I don't really like her.
She's a dimwit, or at least what she's given us over the couple weeks. And then you're going for Zach. She's like, oh, I didn't like how Jay treated me. He always cheated on me and stuff like that. I am done seeing guys like Jay. I want someone the opposite, like tall and handsome. I'm like, that does not equal loyalty. Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry to tell you, And I don't know if Zach's a cheater, but he is definitely an asshole. So third goes Leroy and Naya. Now Leroy, he knows he's not a swimmer, right? He knows it.
He wants to make the bag.
Yeah, he's gonna try and go for the bag, and he goes for it, misses it, and then it's just embarrassing. It just takes forever for them to get around the buoy and back on the beach. It sucks. I mean, Leroy knew what was gonna happen. He just had to make that jump. But what I noticed is that the surfboard gives underneath.
Yeah, when they jump, so it gives them a long. Yeah.
Yeah, it does that every single time. There were so many flaws in this mission. I don't want to hate it at all, but come on, man. Next is Wes and Teresa. This is the pivotal moment. This is the moment that, everything comes around to.
Wes seeing that staying on the surfboard has been the more viable option.
Yep.
Knowing he's a strong swimmer and he'll probably catch up to Teresa.
Yeah.
So that it's not like it's slowing him down. Stays on the surfboard.
Hmm. Rises to the end, jumps, swims for it. I do like Teresa in this mission. She's like, I just kind of want to beat Wes. I like that friendly competition within yourself to, push each other. I like that.
I mean, they dominate. Well, I mean,
oh, yeah, they did really good.
Teresa is a lot stronger swimmer than I thought.
Yeah.
And Wes is, probably the best swimmer on these challenges.
Yeah, the best way to describe Wes was Banana's quote. He says, anytime Wes's head is above the water and it's not being held under until the bubbles stop is not a good day for me.
That was a good one.
So Johnny and Avery go. He wants to jump for it, just for the shits and giggles, man. But, again, the board gives out from under him. It sucks. Like, he was completely game for it.
None of these people even made close to making, like, a good contact with that beanbag.
I mean, the only positive is one might say that these missions lately have become very difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they could be repetitive, too. But, like, they're very difficult because there's only a few people that can actually accomplish it. And that's kind of cool. I kind of like that. I kind of like that it's not like everyone is able to do it and then it just comes down to the seconds. Like, only one person was able to do the whole brush-off challenge where Zach and John A won. Mm-hmm. They were the only people to do 12 squares. That was an extremely difficult challenge. This one, I'm sure you can do it, but you'd have to be from, like, Ninja Warrior to do it. Oh, now here we go. Bananas and Nani. Bananas already showing why he's a champ, why he's a clear veteran. He starts rocking with the board immediately. He starts to go with it. He starts to make the board go with him, and everything's lining up, and I'm like, oh, Bananas, you could do this. You could see he saw all that shit.
It was his only chance. He knows he's not going to beat Wes in a swimming. He knows the only way to win is to get on the beanbag.
Yep. And it was tragic. He attempts it, then he second guesses himself. He grabs back on the surfboard and decides to just ride with it. He instead gets flung off violently into the water. Then he has to swim with Nani,
who was putrid at swimming.
Wes is like, as soon as he doesn't jump, I know I beat him. And, even Bananas is like, well, there's nothing else we can do. We tried it, failed, and I think they kind of know, though. They're fucking screwed.
As soon as that happened, yep. And especially they saw the piss-poor performance of Leroy. And not Leroy's fault. He's not a good swimmer. He knows it. He makes fun of it all the time. But that was it, man. I mean, those are the pieces falling into place that you don't want to see the pieces falling into place to.
Oh, yeah. Next, we have Zach and John A. Now, again, with the weight being a factor, he weighs more than John A. He sails past that beanbag or past that punching bag with John A. He's like you can even see him. He just kind of shrugs his shoulders, like, "Oh fuck, all right. Well, clearly I'm not gonna win this." So he rides it to the end. He gets shot right into the water, and this was kind of disappointing. I mean, I felt so bad for John A in the last episode, but she's struggling really bad in this one. I don't remember her being a very bad swimmer at all. I don't really remember her really having too much of a bad time with anything. She's not the best, but she's never been really bad. But she's really struggling with this, so she has to grab a hold of Zach's legs as he just powers through the little pond. Yeah. And he says that he's never been more embarrassed in his life. He doesn't remember the free agents finale, apparently.
I don't think he does.
He was a blacked out. And then finally, Jordan and Sarah. Jordan, he makes a
typical Jordan move.
Would you say?
Glamorizing the fall into a perfect swan dive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a.
He might have overextended himself on the dive a little bit. I only give it a 9 out of 10. But it did look pretty graceful.
Listen, the fact that he didn't go for the jump, though. He didn't go for that 10 seconds. I felt that was very un-Jordan-like.
Yeah, that part itself. But I think he saw that it was pretty much impossible for these people. He's got one hand. He doesn't have two hands to grab that punching bag.
Oh, and holy crap!
And he's a strong swimmer, so he can.
Yeah.
His downfall is Sarah is not a strong swimmer.
You think that was what it was?
I mean, she was a decent swimmer. It's separated 2 seconds. I think the difference was Teresa in this one. Teresa over Sarah.
Yeah. I could accept that. But you know what? TJ couldn't accept no one even getting to the bag. He was like, I expected more from you guys today.
He really gave it to him.
Yeah. He's like, you can't do this. I mean, I hate to see you in a final. I would feel bad if TJ told me that.
They felt the winners are Wes and Teresa. And Bananas and Nani look shell-shocked.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with Leroy and Naya taking last place.
Yeah, and Leroy, he's like, when he's announced that he's last place, he's like, it's all good. The hardest part for me is the swimming. So whoever goes against me better bring your A game. There's no water in a dome. That's how he always is, man. If he's gonna go in elimination, he's like, all right, well, time to do it. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to go in elimination. We all know that about Leroy. But like when he's in it, he's like, all right. Then he starts to get pissed. Then you start to see some personality out of Leroy instead of just kind of gliding and he's got like the worst case of senioritis I've ever fucking saw. It's horrible. So back at the house, Bananas is pissed off about how the order was, and he says that the order speaks volumes.
He's mad at Zach.
Yeah. And Zach instantly goes very defensive. His usual go-to, like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. What are you talking about? Like, just like, you're full of shit. Leading up to it, Zach told Bananas that it wasn't up to him. It was John A's decision about the order. That's what he told Bananas.
And Bananas knew it was bullshit right off the bat.
Previous episode, Zach was like, hey, we all know that I'm the one that wears the pants in the relationship. Like, that was already established when he was making fun of John A in the power couple.
And Bananas' reasoning is, if you put Wes first, he may have tried to jump.
Yep.
He may not have saw Adam ride that board down and think, oh, maybe I should do that because... And then he had a chance to see two people fall trying to make that jump and seeing that it was very tough, so he decided to ride the board down.
Yep.
So Bananas is pissed.
Yeah. And he should be, because as soon as Wes and Teresa pop open the champagne, they're like, all right, we're throwing in Bananas. Yep.
Because yeah, I mean, you throw Bananas in that first episode, they're gonna wipe out the first fucking team. You know, they're gonna wipe out any of these new couples coming in. Maybe Adam and Brittany would give them a fight.
But now you got a power player, Leroy. You know, I mean, physically, he's not like a...
And a power woman. I mean, Naya.
Yeah, she's already proved how insanely competitive she is because she won the $70. She chugged Zach's sweat. That's gross. All right, so the power couple, Wes and Teresa, they want to throw Bananas. So before that, or, you know, after that whole conversation, he's like, hey, bring me Zach. Zach shows up. And Wes is like, so where's your head at? And Zach goes, hey, he just wanted you in the first or the second order. Like, that's what he said. And Wes is like, well, you were right to think for yourself. You know, like, Wes realizes that Zach wants to be his own guy. You know, I'm sure some people like ourselves accuse him as being the muscle and Frank being the brains. You know, Zach wants to be all of it. You know, he wants to be his own guy, especially if Frank is never going to show up again. Frank's gone, and then Bananas is near the end. CT's gone for sure in this season. You know, Zach wants to be his own guy. He's even got his own alliance, perfect alliance with Jordan and Johnny. So now Wes, he's like, hey, let's make an alliance. No matter what, I am not going to call your name. But the main thing is, I want you to do your own thing in your side of the house, and I'll do my own thing in my side of the house. Being, you know, the team upstairs and team downstairs. You know, this shit is like, this is like NFC and AFC, man.
This is a crossing the line moment for Zach.
Yeah.
And I think to his own team, even. It's a terrible decision. I'm not saying even for the Bananas thing. I'm saying it's a terrible decision for his own team, and I think that it is the beginning of his downfall on this season.
I'd agree. There's
That's my bet. That's my head bet today.
Yeah, certainly after this episode. I mean, these past two episodes have been
the top of the
Zach-centric.
house is Johnny, Jordan, Zach, and Bananas on their respective teams. They have been. I mean, you can clearly see it when you go look in the rooms. Who's in there?
Team downstairs is Zach, Jordan, Bananas, Leroy, and Johnny.
Yep.
Team upstairs is Wes, Jay, and Adam. Basically, what Wes and Zach could be doing is an NFC AFC, man. Like, Zach hopefully will be the one guy on top of team downstairs, and Wes will be the one guy on top on team upstairs, and they will face each other in a final.
And that's why it's like a secret alliance.
Yeah.
That they're in. It's still in separate political alliances in the house.
Okay,
but it
I
completely
agree.
backfires.
In a matter of minutes. And Zach, all he asks is like, hey, if we're going to do anything, it has to be as quiet as possible. Cut to the announcement of who's going to go against Leroy and Naya, and Wes says, hey, Teresa, you do the honors. And this is where it all falls apart, in my opinion. Teresa says, well, yesterday a lot of things were said about who should go first and whatever, and it was rude and uncalled for. So we're going to call in Bananas and Nani. Bananas and Nani come up, and and then Wes says, ooh, someone's going home tonight. Bananas is like, Wes, everyone heard enough from you, bro. You should just shut your fucking mouth. And then he says, and this is perfect, with Bananas' dying breath, he's like, hey, Teresa, let me ask you, who told you about the order? Because there was only one guy that would know, and he points right at Zach in front of everyone. And he's like, there was only one person who knew about this thing. And Teresa says, oh, I heard it from a number of people.
Which, Bananas, bullshit. He's got his bullshit alert.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen Bananas act so hostile about going in. One thing, he does take it with a grain of salt. You know, I would have been, me, personally, I'd have been hostile every time I get called out. I'd have been fucking pissed. But, you know, he usually takes it for most part with a grain of salt. You know, I mean, obviously, never happy. But the fact that Wes was the one to do it has just eating him alive.
That's got that. That's
Because
the worst part.
I mean, do we talk about the history? Do you want to give a brief synopsis, Mr. Challenge Historian?
We could talk about the history. I mean, really, Bananas hates Wes almost on a. I don't think it's a personal.
You think it's a professional level of hatred for these challenges?
Yeah, I mean, it could be. What I was trying to say is that, like, Bananas has done more harm to Wes than Wes has ever done harm to Bananas. Bananas is a guy who took Kenny's side right off the bat. That's why he was quick to say, "Hey, let's lie to Wes to make him stop throwing the ruins missions, but then let's throw in his girlfriend and Evelyn, our own fucking teammate, in against each other as revenge against Wes." This has been Banana's thing. I mean, there's no telling why they hate each other, but they've never gotten along.
Started off from the beginning. What challenge did they first do together?
Duel.
The duel, but they didn't have much interaction there.
No, that goes back to more CT and Bananas rivalry, because that was CT getting the ball started in that one. Their very first official meeting with each other was like the ruins in terms of challenges, and that was the whole throwing in
the
Kelly
in for everything.
Yeah. There was that moment, Wes gets in his face and shit. Eventually the JEK Alliance machine gets rid of Wes. On Rivals, they were thrown in at the end to go against CT right before the final. I'm sure that didn't feel very good.
Mm-hmm. By his own team.
They could have gone in. They could have gone in and got eliminated right before the final on Rivals 1 against CT and Adam. And then, there's Exes, throws him in the very first episode. I mean, this is the guy. I don't want to hate on Bananas. I'm actually really sad that he's gone. Because, I mean, like it or not, it's like he's part of the challenges. And we referenced before, it's almost like, can you beat Bananas? That's part of the challenge. So I never thought he'd be gone so early. In fact, I assumed he'd be in the final. And who knows? He could still be in the final.
Yeah, we're just speculating here.
Yeah.
Yep, bad blood. It was going to happen. They've gotten each other a couple times in these things.
Mm.
And I think they walk into the house knowing that they're going to play their own game. Their games don't align at all. They don't mesh together at all. And that's what happened here.
Yeah.
And it was the perfect storm. It was just the perfect storm.
It really comes down to a lot of very basic reasons why two stars wouldn't like each other. Mm. And that's what they are. They're the stars of the show, and they're always thrown in together nearly every single time because producers and viewers, for the most part, want them to go at it.
And they don't have Kenny anymore to bicker with Wes or to really play the political games.
No, Kenny was always just like, he never got riled up too much with Wes. He was always just like, he's a fucking weirdo, he's an idiot. Like, I'll try and get rid of him. Yeah, but Bananas, he loses his cool with Wes nearly every single time. Kenny and Wes, that's a classic rivalry. CT and Wes, that's also classic. I mean, it really only stems from two occasions. That was Duel 1 and Rivals 1. But the whole Bananas and Wes thing, that's been around and never really properly explained, but it's been there. They're nominated. They're going to go in. Teresa's talking to Nani and does a little hand thing, and of course Nani loses it. I mean, Nani is just... She is such a... what would you call it? Liability.
Oh, absolutely.
To Bananas. I mean, Nani by herself, she's always been this way. She's always been a loose cannon, an emotional wreck, just drinking way too much, arguing way too much, sleeping as much as she wants to. Like, who cares, I guess. But it eventually rubs other people the wrong way, mostly the girls.
Yeah.
Because immediately after that, and all these other people are talking about how much of a hoe Nani is. And Naya says that she has the Groupon pussy. But at this moment, Bananas...
This is typical women, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This is typical women. And here's the thing. They're only hurting their own... They don't realize it, but they're only hurting their own images. I mean, not that I'm saying everything Nani does is right, but And I'm not here to stick up for her. Because, I mean, I always thought she would be the liability on my favorite player's team, which
She was, yeah.
was. But it's the pot collar and the kettle black with most of these girls, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, well, that was established at the very beginning where they were pairing them off. And everyone was like, well, it really doesn't matter. We've all hooked up with each other anyways, you know? I'm sure it's all like 6 degrees of Nani, you know, and you could do the 6 degrees of, you know, everyone else. Jordan, Laurel, you could do that. CT. It doesn't matter. It is definitely calling the kettle black. Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. Bananas, again, he goes to the room, his room.
And this is where I think he knows he's probably not coming back. I think in his mind, he knows he's not coming back, and he's going to make one last fuck you to the person that he felt screwed him over the most. He expected it from Wes. He didn't expect it from his own teammate, Zach. Or, you know, the guy that he thought he was in an alliance. And he even said, you're in an alliance, you don't screw, you know.
Yeah, that was a really good line. He was like, you know what? Being in an alliance, Zach, it doesn't just mean I'm never going to say your name. It means sticking your neck out for your guys to save them in whatever situation. And that's true.
You know, I know a lot of people hate on the JK Alliance, but for the most part, except maybe Evan every once in a while to Johnny, they did have each other's backs.
Yep.
And they would screw everybody else over, but they always had each other's backs.
Again, another moment where Zach might be screwed. Think about it. He was like, hey, Wes, if we're going to do something. Well, first of all, would you have done that? If you were Zach in that situation.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But don't let your partner in on it. Teresa.
You mean tell Teresa that, hey, we're not going to let people know that Zach told us this.
Yeah. I would have had an off-the-record conversation with Zach if I'm Wes. Yeah. And keep it close to the heart. Now, actually, to Wes, it doesn't matter. He doesn't give a shit. Why would he give a shit if Zach hangs himself or not? In fact, it'd probably benefit him if he does. But to Zach, you know, for this to happen, he got himself called out.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't consider that too much because we never got a reaction on how Wes felt about Zach all of a sudden being under
I don't think he cared.
Under fire. That was perfectly put where you're like, Bananas felt like he was probably screwed. And if he was going to leave, he's going to leave with these parting words and get the room against Zach. I guess Bananas did plant the seeds of deception with the JZJ alliance.
That was his whole point with that speech. He knew he's going against Leroy or
Naya.
Going against Leroy and Naya, a team that's more than capable of beating him in 9.
Yep. So he goes on this tirade. He makes sure everyone in the room is there. Keep in mind, this is the NFC, man. Mm-hmm. The AFC is Wes and the rookies. The next scene, though, is great. It's in the gym. Zach tries to reassure Johnny and Jordan that Bananas, he's just scared. That's all that's what he was saying earlier. He's just scared. He doesn't know. And he's like, he tries to make light of it. He's like, it's so weird. It's like, but whatever I do, it's exploded and made into a big spectacle around here, you know? And then you kind of show Johnny, Riley, and Jordan. They're kind of like laughing, like, haha, yeah. But
it cuts to Johnny saying, I think Zach's been exposed. Because to them, you're an alliance. Your biggest enemy is Wes and his alliance.
Mm-hmm.
And here's Johnny, who thinks that he has the trust of his own teammate. But hey, wait a second. Is my teammate conspiring with the other team?
And Jordan and Johnny, who do you hate more? If you win, are you going to hate Wes, who you know has always been the villain, has always been the opponent? Or are you going to hate the person that betrayed you in your own alliance? If they're ever going to do good, it's this season. And now they're like, what the fuck, man? What were you doing before?
Yeah. And he screwed one of their teammates over. Or one of their alliance mates.
Knight and Jemmy?
No, I mean, Bananas and Nine. They're in their alliance. They're the upstairs.
I feel like they were part. I mean, he was part of that room, and in a way,
he called it their alliance.
Did he?
He did. In his thing, he said, "You don't do this to someone in your alliance."
Oh, he did use that word because he did just school them about what it means to be an alliance and what it doesn't mean to be an alliance.
So I think that was his last parting gift, was to expose Zach as much as possible.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I see that being a downfall for Zach.
Yeah. And while this is going on, Janae, she just shows up. She just sits down. She's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And Zach is instantly mad. He's like, "I don't want to talk to you." And Janae, like, you could see her. She sits down, and like in 2 seconds, Zach's losing it, and she kind of looks over to the cameraman, like, "Should I leave? Like, what's up with him?" You know? And she's getting up, and she's like, "Okay, well, all I want you to know is that I didn't know about the order and politics and all that." And so it wasn't me that told Wes about the order. And Zach is pissed. Why? Because
She exposed his lie
yeah,
accidentally.
exactly. Again, after trying to reassure Jordan and Riley. And it's even worse because, he's up to his usual shit. Like, Johnny's trying to leave, and she's like, "Hey, I'm just trying to say, you have no right to scream at me." And Zach's like, "Yeah, well, you have no right to even talk to me right now." It stems from nothing. Zach is just this massive asshole. I like it. It's what we're missing. We don't have a villain this season, really.
No, yeah. Villain.
You could say Wes, but
he hasn't been up to his usual villainous stuff.
I mean, he's a threat, and to me, I'm surprised. I'll be the first one to say, like, I like Wes, but he's not usually the mission-winning type. He's the elimination-winning type.
Lately, people gun for him.
Exactly, and now people are making deals with him and stuff. It might be because in the end they're like, "Hey, he broke down in Rivals 1, and does anyone really think Teresa has it in her?" Maybe they do bring Wes and Teresa in the final, just because Wes and Teresa already have an alliance with Jordan and Sarah and Zach and Johnny now. Like,
tenuous son that Zach and Johnny at the moment because of what happened.
I don't know. We haven't seen any indication of Zach being pissed off at Wes though, or Teresa.
Right.
That's the only thing. So if Wes and Teresa are to get thrown in, technically it should only be done by Leroy and Naya, or Johnny, Riley, and Avery. Everyone else is in Wes's pocket right now.
And Leroy and I might, if they ever could get off their ass and win the mission.
Yeah, I agree. They could.
Because he's friends with Bananas. Leroy and Bananas are friends.
Yeah, he didn't want to send him home, I'm sure. I mean, he even said it on the show. We should move on. All right, so the Dome. And this dome is called Strung Out, but I would call it Hog Tie from the Ruins. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
Kahada versus Cyrus. And there was a few other things, a few production hiccups in this one. Poor Nani, she gets hung up on that little bump in the wood. Remember that?
Yep, and couldn't get over it.
They were smoothed in industry cut logs in the Ruins. There was no getting snagged on the wood in that one. So that's a huge difference. The cool thing about it though, Nani, so it's the girls have to go first, guys have to go as soon as they ring the bell, and then they shimmy back to the other end. Again, this is just like the Banded Together Dome, where it's like girls go first, then the guys. It's absolutely a mistake, no doubt about it.
They should have been able to do something where they go at the same time. Or
how about have all four go, and then whoever gets the first two people back wins.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be fine.
Yeah.
Then you could at least see what Bananas could have done, and then it would have been left to the girls. That's way better, man. But what was impressive, Nani actually did get to the bell first.
Mm-hmm.
She was on her way back. She got snagged halfway through. It really fucking sucked. It was just one of those production hiccups again.
And when she saw that Naya was ahead, she kind of lost a lot of that gusto that she had prior, and never made it to the end.
No.
Banana sat there hanging like a turd, as he said, the entire time.
Yeah, freaking Naya makes it.
And not to take away from what Leroy did, because Leroy just went beast mode. Yeah. But you never know what Banana's gonna do.
Missed opportunity. Leroy, he done good. He sent home the champ. He said something about like taking the belt away from the champ. Like, he didn't take the belt, dude. How you would take the belt, if anything, is you got to get to a final and win, or better yet, take on the champ in a final and beat him. AKA Wes and CT, Rivals 2.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
If anyone really took the title back, it was them. So that was pretty sweet. But it's all gone. It's all done. And they're leaving. Their parting words. Bananas like, what? I'm thankful that there was no feelings or resentment or any of that bullshit between us. We were just a really good team. And then you cut to Nani's confessional, and she's like, she's kind of agreeing. She's like, okay, yeah, we're only friends. I'm okay with that. Fine. Like, she was clearly not okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
This entire thing was like Nani felt there was something. Bananas, even in his last confessional, he was like, I don't get what was going on. We were just friends and shit. Like he never understood it. Even going into Exile. So now we're in Exile. You watched Exile?
I did.
All right, tell us about it.
Well, did you forget the part where everybody popped champagne in the house?
Oh.
Or we're having a party? Definitely Wes and
right.
the girls are more jumping on the Nani being gone bandwagon than anything.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was huge. There was a lot of the show near the end dedicated to just like, hey, they're gone. The champ is out of the house. The throne is empty. The Iron Throne is empty. Who's gonna take it now? So with Bananas and Nani gone, at least in Exile right now.
And Wes has got to be feeling good.
Yeah, he's got to be feeling pretty good.
Pretty confident about his. He's got a strong partner.
He has these alliances that if they're held true, he might have a ticket to the final.
Right.
Which I'm shocked. I really am. I'm unless he gets in. The only thing is they can't get in last place. Though.
Most of these new people haven't felt the sting of Wes in desperation. And I feel like they just haven't watched back far enough in the challenges to see.
You mean these new competitors haven't?
What he is capable of when his back's up against the wall, which are sometimes brilliant moves. Sometimes he pulls some brilliant moves, and sometimes he just implodes in on himself and screws everybody around him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Even if you're his best friend, Danny.
Yeah.
No one's
and that's
safe.
what I was mostly referencing. Yeah. Friend.
Well, let's get to the Exile. Are we ready to go there?
Is the worst.
Jesus Christ. I mean, he's just miserable. And he was the worst. He was the first one. They were playing the ring. What is it? Like a 4-way tug of war kind of. They're on these little baseball plates. I mean, they're not very big. You don't have.
For instance, it's more about balance and strength on it.
Yeah, he said,
and that's pretty clear from the way that John Jay just
falls
off, like right away both times, all 3 times.
Yep, he was the first one in all 3. Like Simone did better. John Jay, like the first time he fell off sideways, which is like, hey, you just lost your balance. The second time, I think Bananas just juked him out. He actually fell backwards. Bananas probably just let go of the rope and he fell backwards. It was horrible. And then the third time he fell to the side, So now, Bananas and Nani are still in the game. I know that you feel like it's a death sentence anyways. It's just prolonging the inevitable.
It's early on.
It is really early on. Well, how many more? Yeah, exactly.
Well, how many teams are left?
There's 7 left. 3 make it to the final.
Are you sure?
Yep. And the 4th is going to be the survivor of the Exile.
And they go to the final too?
Yeah. So Bananas and Nani, they have to go through 4 more Exiles to get to the final. Do you think they could do it? They could.
Strong teams left. It all depends on what kind of goofy games they play.
Mm-hmm. So they win, and Bananas takes the ring, and he proposes to Nani, like, will you live in the Exile house with me? And then in the background, John Jay is like, say no. He was like the lamest fucking guy we've ever had. At least have fun, or say a joke that dies. But he didn't even try. At least have fun. That the fact that you're on TV, like, why the fuck would I see your show? But anyways, Bananas Exile was probably the best Exile that I've ever seen, because he was jumping up and down. He was like, hey, we're still in this show. We're still in the game. The Exile video was them cooking dinner, and he's like, hey, so we lost, and this is losing. We get this whole house to ourselves. We don't have to sleep on bunk beds with all these 24 other idiots. We don't have cameras in our face all the time, and it's just me and her. How is this bad? Bananas hasn't lost since Cutthroat, and now that he's lost, it's like it's never been better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's kind
So
of funny. That's kind of a good
he's
way to put
enjoying
yeah.
it. Although I hated how he got sent home. He's not sent home
No.
technically.
Now he has a chance to
Now-
compete and everything.
Now he's living on the internet. And now we get to see Bananas and Nani's little webisodes. They come up a video every couple days, just little updates and shit. This is gonna be sweet. I'm liking this more and more now that I think about it. So in closing, what do you got to add to this?
What's
man?
gonna happen next?
Let me throw out a bullshit prediction for the final four. Final four: Wes and Teresa, Jordan and Sarah, Zach and Janae, and Bananas and Nani. I mean, not only is
That'd
that
be a
bullshit,
stat.
but that's an ideal final.
That
to
would
have.
be the ideal final.
You know what I
four.
mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't want any of those other people in the. Well, no, I want Johnny, Riley, and Avery. But after these couple episodes, after the alliances, I feel like their chances are way slimmer now.
Wes is gonna pick him off.
Yeah.
He's gonna.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome. 4 amazing teams, and it's going to be a great showdown. If it's going to be those 4, it's just going to be sweet to watch. I'll be proud of every single one of them. Although Zach is a fucking asshole, you know? Like,
Yeah,
but when I
Zach
say that
less than
though,
once.
when I say that Zach's an asshole, I have friends that are an asshole.
I'm an asshole.
Matt's an asshole. Am I an asshole?
You can be.
Yeah.
Much.
Whoa.
Sometimes.
Whoa.
Not all the time.
We're growing up a lot today. But what I'm trying to say is that Zach is someone I identify with or have known types like that. But I also appreciate, you know, he's putting in the work. He's huge. You know, he works out. I try to work out, but I don't do it as often. And he wants to win the money. He loves being on camera. You know, there's nothing about Zach that I hate at all. I don't hate any of these guys.
I don't.
But Zach is a great villain for this thing. Like, I like Wes, but I could say he could be a villain sometimes. He was a villain in Fresh Meat 2. He was horrible.
Absolutely.
He cut down his own
and
team.
Bananas fit the description of villain.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much Bananas or Wes in their twilight years.
I would say Wes was a villain in Fresh Meat 2. You could say that about Rivals 2 because, you know, CT was the good guy all of a sudden. Who would have thunk it? And Wes was the guy who was like, hey, we're throwing you in, motherfucker. But ever since then, he's just been a guy of I want to say a victim of circumstance, but not really. He brought it on himself. So he's been kind of humbled throughout the years. He was given CT and he just competed as good as he could, and he got CT to the final, and they won. It's awesome. Bananas, you know, you don't really get to know the guy until, well, Inferno 3. That's when he really competes. He competes well. He does very good, actually. I think he wins 2 lifesavers, which is really good. I feel like he won. I mean, Alton only won 1 lifesaver. You know what I mean? Like, that was a really stacked season. So Bananas really impressed me upon, you know, several other viewings. He gets to Gauntlet 3, and he's thrown in against Evan. I mean, he was a victim of CT stance, and he gets thrown in against Evan. But the island, he was a fucking asshole. He played the game
The way.
perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. How do you explain that? Part of the game was to make it miserable for other people. That I didn't like. That was the one thing I'll always go back to. Like, not only was the island not fun in general, but he made it worse for Evelyn and Kellyanne. And he's picking on girls, so it's kind of hard to get on that as much as you want to. It's kind of hard to just be like, yeah, man, ruin those girls' lives. But, like, the way he ran it, I mean, he had this alliance with Kenny and Derek, but part of it was to make these other people's lives miserable, and there was a lot of double crossing. In the end, he even betrayed Paula.
Well, they all betrayed Paula.
Yeah, they all betrayed Paula, but he did as well. He knew what he was doing, you know, and what did he do? When it came time for him to hand over his key, his lost key to Evelyn on the island, what did he do? He dropped it. He pretended to drop it on the floor. That was such a low move. But I'll always remember that, you know? Like, he's been pretty shitty over the years, but that was one of the shittiest things he's ever done. But bravo, Johnny. Like, I'm glad you're still on the show. Well, technically you're out now, but you're on the Exile. But what I'm getting at is that you were a better villain than a good guy, I guess. I want you to be a bad guy more than.
Yep.
What I was getting at is that so the island, he was an asshole. Everyone would say he was a villain, and in the end, Evelyn could have taken his key,
Yeah.
and there was no way he could get into that final. That's what it came down to. It came down to Kenny talking to Evelyn and saying, "How about this? Take Dunbar's key and keep Bananas, and we'll just all win this together. How about
We'll
that?"
put you on our boat.
Yeah. It wasn't anything that Bananas said that saved his ass. It was his friend, Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
Bananas never properly excused himself or apologized in any real way. But I will say though, if when I first watched him in real life, yeah, was Cutthroat. That was the first time I ever saw him in a challenge, and I liked him. I thought he was pretty cool. But then after that season ended, I started rewatching from like fresh meat, I think, and that's when I started to hate him. So then Rivals comes in the next season, and I just remember him being a prick. I was like, no, I don't want him to win, and he ends up winning. I'm like, fuck. Battle of the Exes comes in, he does really good, and I liked him. I was like, he deserved it. Like, I couldn't argue with him. I was like, no, you are the fucking king. You got 4 wins. You tied Darrell. That's amazing.
Rivals really great on the missions. Yeah.
Did phenomenally in the missions. I was really impressed with him. So he kind of won me over in Exes. Rivals 2, I thought he was done. I dismissed him. I thought he was just over the hill. Like Paula called him, Papa's getting old and shit. I thought it was true too. I was like, all right, it sucks, but it happens. We saw it happen to Evan.
I mean, he really died in the final too. I mean, he was lagging behind the whole time.
Yeah.
Which he's never been fast, but I never seen him die like that in a final.
Yep. So Free Agents comes along, and to me, this season was just like you get to see the chant get cut down early, and I really thought that's what was going to happen. And then as the seasons progress, you hear that Jordan wants to take out Banana. I was like, oh, that's how it's going to happen. This is going to be sweet. This is going to be the dawning of the new king or whatever, At that time, I think everyone was kind of believing in Jordan for a while, And so Bananas, I was like, oh, he's like just one of those washed up champs. But he didn't leave. He kept winning. He beat Isaac, and then he beat Jordan, and then he beat CT, and then he fucking won. So I'm like, all right, cool, awesome. So I liked him then. In this one, you should have got along with Wes. That's all I gotta say. I don't want a Rivals 3. I want a co-ed Rivals 3.
I would like a co-ed Rivals 3. I think it'd be awesome.
I would want the next Rivals to be genuine. They'd have to suspend the next male and male Rivals for a while. You know what I mean? Because you want those to be organic. You don't want to just like, oh, I'm gonna.
Though I would love to see Bananas and Wes on a team.
More than Bananas and Jordan.
Yes, Bananas and Wes. Could you imagine?
I mean that's a dysfunctional one.
Though Bananas has shown that going with his rivals, he's able to, and his exes, that he's able to
bury the hatchet.
Yeah.
Do away with all the bullshit.
But do you think he could with Wes?
That's a tough one.
Did you watch the after show? They fucking hate each other. They don't say they hate each other. They say we don't hate each other, but they fucking were throwing some nasty barbs at each other.
Yeah. There was a couple of things that were very telling when Wes was like, Bananas has never once tried to just get to know me. And then Bananas like, oh, sounds like he needs a hug. You want a hug, Wes? Someone hug him. Like, that's all he had to say about it. You know what I mean? Like, he was just kind of... I don't know. It's crazy. Like, the most telling thing is that Bananas rarely loses his cool with anyone. But he loses it like that with Wes. And that's when you know there's something there that you're not going to get rid of. Do you think... It would be up to... Who do you think hates the other person more?
Wes hates Bananas more. But he's tortured Wes throughout the years. And
could they perform well together if they could put aside?
Could you imagine those two masterminds fucking playing a political game?
Yeah, but you can't. You know what though? You can't do that. You can't make that pairing without giving them someone to fight, like they did CT and West versus Bananas and Frank. You can't put CT and West and no one else.
Yeah.
Who else would be their biggest rival threat?
But you're right. I mean, you're pitting two of the better players in the game on the same team that are typically at odds and create drama with each other, or
Yeah.
would.
You don't want to book these things like you did Rivals 2 on the
You'd
female side.
You'd be handing them a win.
Exactly. This is the
There's
Paula
nobody-
and
there's no-
Emily.
There's nobody smart enough to go against them.
Paula and Emily. That's like they were booked to win. You know what I'm saying?
CT, who's CT? He's been the gentle giant lately.
You know, if you wanted to just make a rivalry off of dirty looks, you could be like CT and Zach. You know what I mean? That's the only other pair.
Christ.
That's the only other pair that can challenge Bananas and West. I can't think of any other.
Destroy him in anything except maybe running.
Yeah, exactly. If you're gonna book Bananas and West to go on a challenge in Rivals 3, who knows what year it's gonna be in the future? We might be a little over. The only other pairing that you're like, holy shit, this is the ultimate SmackDown is CT and Zach.
You got brains versus bronze. That's what it is.
Yeah, holy shit,
You
dude.
got
I
the
would.
two smartest guys in the house versus the two strongest guys in the
I'll
house.
watch that fucking challenge. Let's assume that they get to the finals though. Who would win in a final?
Bananas. After watching Zach in that final last year, I just don't see it.
Yeah, CT would get dragged down by Zach. That would be insane to watch. Could you imagine CT throwing Zach over his
Holy
back?
shit, yeah. Bananas and West would just bicker the whole time.
oh, fuck yeah. Yeah, Bananas loves to just scream and lose his shit
That
during a
West.
final. Yeah, especially, yeah. There you go, man. I would rather have a co-ed Rivals 3 than the same old Rivals because, you know, clearly you have Jordan wanting to be with Bananas. That's why he picks a fight, or not. But either way, that's in players' minds, in the back of their minds. But if you're really going to force the whole Bananas and West on us, you got to put CT and Zach.
You're right. You got to have some good billing to be able to at least challenge them.
And at this point, that's all you do. That's all we're doing. The challenge anymore are the new people. Who's made an impression? No one. Adam. That's the closest one so far because he's been winning eliminations.
Yeah.
Does he have the personality? Not necessarily.
But he'll come into himself. Some of them come into himself, and some of them don't. You know,
Yeah.
some of them.
And you know what? Adam is a fucking manipulator. He's always playing off.
I do like that he's a manipulator. I like that
Yeah.
part already.
Yeah.
Because you need that person. That's what the new people don't have. They don't have the manipulation.
Are you getting on the Leroy and Nia train a little bit?
I think they'll
this
be in
win?
the final. I don't think anybody
Really? You
beats
think
them
so?
in an elimination. I don't think they get beaten in an elimination.
But
They
in
are
the final,
the strongest male-female together couple.
in the final though, I don't think they have much of a shot.
I do. Well, Leroy just doesn't have the heart to do a final. But I see them in the final. And I just don't. Who's the most complete female-male team when it comes to physical?
And you know what I just realized? At first, I said that Nia being a huge fan of Leroy was a good thing for him. Now I feel like what it should be is that Nia is the sassy black chick that whips him into shape and says, "No, start swimming. Swim every day. I'm fucking chugging sweat. You gotta be swimming. Like we gotta make it. We gotta fucking win." And she's way more submissive than I thought she would be. If you're on Twitter, @ChallengeCast. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel because you will get up-to-the-minute updates about our goings-on our channel.
Vince will answer you if you have questions.
Yeah. Well, in closing, I am Vincent Cloud.
And I'm DJ Matty Nice. Zach's a dirty whore.
He's an asshole. I don't think he's a whore.
I just was trying to use any purveyor or any foul language I could. Because then ultimately, it wasn't Wes that did in Bananas. Because Wes was going to do in Bananas. But Zach betrayed him.
Oh, really? The main fault goes in with... Like, who does Bananas hate right now? Wes or Zach? He's in the Exile right now. He's twiddling his thumb. He's staring into the ceiling, and he's pissed off. Who is he more pissed off at right now?
Zach.
All right.
Because rationalization, Wes is going to throw him in if Wes wins. Zach could have made it easier and maybe not let Wes win that one by putting him first and making Wes jump for the bag and having to swim the entire length.
Mm. But either way,
giving Jordan and Sarah the 2 seconds they needed to win the challenge, and Jordan and Sarah went to throwing bananas.
Yeah. So
therefore, it was Zach.
Let me ask you this: what's more upsetting, Packers getting eliminated in the playoffs, Packers. Or bananas?
I mean, mid-season? Yeah, I like bananas, and I never hated Wes. I don't hate Wes. I think he's awesome in his own right.
Put this in football terms, all right? First of all, I think to me, bananas are the Patriots.
Has to be the Patriots. The CTE is Dan Marino.
But he's got a ring though.
Well, he
made that
now
comparison.
He does. Yeah. After like 10 times. Yeah, he got a ring.
Wait, Favre. He's got one ring.
Yeah, Favre. Super long career. Breaks a bunch of records.
Who's West? He's won twice. Does that mean anything?
Yeah, and he's good.
Oh, would you call him Manning's little brother? Because he won twice. Would you call him Eli Manning?
He's the little redheaded stepchild.
What about
the redheaded stepchild has more than his bigger brother, though. He has more Super Bowl rings than his bigger brother.
Yeah, and because Zach is Russell Wilson. Because he won and then he didn't win. And...
Yep.
All right, we should sign off. Otherwise, I'm just gonna.
We gotta have some kind of good sign off.
I know. Let's improv it. So, in closing, this is Vincent Cloud.
I am DJ Matty Nice.
And this was the best episode thus far.
Yeah, debatable.
All right, we'll cut it with that.